Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the influence of the climate change on people's health and on biodiversity. This is our topic now. So we have the pleasure to shed more light on this. We have the pleasure to host with us now Dr. Shereen Farag, Professor of Medical Engineering. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Doctor, could you give us your insight concerning the effect of the climate change on biodiversity in light of course, the COP27, which just ended on Sunday?
First of all, I thank you that you are pushing for that items and this subject, because you know climate change is being now introduced in whenever popular people and popularity has understand well the climate change's effect on their life. First of all, you know that climate change has many reflection on Earth, and Earth has a different climate changes that differentiate in species and biodiversity.
Yes.
So when the asteroids has struck the Earth from about 65 billion years, there was a big problem and the dinosaurs was ended. At that time, 95% of species has been dead, and only 5% has keeping alive until now. And now by 2050, expected that Earth will lose about 50% of the biodiversity now. So it become very crucial, because you know there is an ecosystem, and the ecosystem, in order to have our life in animals, plants, and all this diversity, we need to maintain our ecosystem in being and good health, because now we will face a lot of problems due to climate changes. One of them is diseases, because when we are speaking now, we say that there is an elevation of temperature. There will be a differentiation between some areas, new areas with high temperature, different in weather, and then you can say about vector-borne disease.
Yes.
There is some diseases are in Africa now, and it will change to come to South Africa.
Yes.
So and North Africa. So there is a lot of issues, and this is why our president has put into his consideration and trying to let people and countries that have the major problem causing the climate changes,
yes,
to bear their responsibilities and to pay for Africa and for Egypt, yes, for the problem of climate change,
yes,
and their effect.
True. And actually, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, during the COP27 conference, climate change conference, have stressed that it's time for action, it's time for work. And actually, the title of this year's conference is Together for Implementation.
Yeah, he is paying a lot of attention for environment, and is one of our successful issues now, because you know 26 years there is a COP and never it was hosted in Africa, and this is the first time to be hosted in Africa and in an Arab country, in Egypt. So it's very successful point, and a very good relationship with all the countries and all the world.
Yes. Doctor, what is the direct effect of the climate change on the health of people?
As I'm telling you, that there will be different diseases will come into our consideration. For example,
you mean a new one?
It's not a new, but there will be a changes, because okay, there are
worsening. You mean
epidemic? No, it's epidemic in Africa, in some countries,
yes,
and due to rising temperature and some wet area is coming. That means there will be immovable from these areas where there is epidemic, vector-borne disease, to Egypt. Yes. Or to North Africa. So this is a problem, because we will face new diseases that's not epidemic in Egypt or in these countries, and then you have to come with all the protection. How can we deal with this fatal, and it is a fatal diseases, yes, like dengue, fever. There is a lot of problems that's known already, yes, known, but maybe there will be a new disease as well.
Yes. So how would the climate change affect the biodiversity in the coming future? What are the examples?
okay, you know, there is a lot of plants, for example, animals,
Yes.
so what will be in danger. And now there is 50% you are expected to lose of this ecosystem. That
Yes.
means 50% of biodiversity. That means it will affect completely the health of people. It will affect their life. It will affect their food. It will affect everything. Because when you are speaking about 50% of biodiversity is in danger, and now we can expect that 50% will be not existing after it's about 2050, so 30 years from now. It means you will have a completely change in our life.
Yes.
And for people life.
Yes. Doctor, during the COP27, which started on the 6th of November until the 20th of November, there was every day they discussed a title. For example, once they discussed energy, another day they discussed biodiversity. So the biodiversity day, how did you follow this day and the conference as a whole?
The conference was a successful conference. They are putting all the countries that making the problem and they are the cause of climate changes now in their responsibilities. You know, environment, climate changes has impact in every sectors.
Yes.
That means in energy, you have to change to sustainable energy. You have to change to solar cell energy. And Egypt has a variety of sustainable energy, like solar, like wind. So we have to work for this. And you can expect why all these people and all these countries are very enthusiastic to come to Egypt to try to deal, to make signature for new agreements, because Egypt has a lot of sustainable energy. You can try the solar cell. You know, we have a good solar system, so not
Yes.
like Europe, for example. And Europe now is facing a very big problem concerning energy, and
Yes.
this problem now, especially the cause of the war between Russia and
Ukraine?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they are facing this problem, and then they are trying to find a solution in Egypt. So Egypt can really be the basic solution for all these countries to supply the energy, sustainable energy. How can we deal with these countries? And this is why we are asking if we can support people, if we can support your countries.
Yes.
We need your support as well in order to in face for adaptation and for mitigation for the climate changes.
Yes. Yes. Doctor, the recommendations read by the president of the conference, Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri, one of the points of the recommendations that said that there would be a fund for, for the countries
Adaptation and mitigation.
Yes. The foreign minister described this point in the recommendations as a historical point that came out as recommended from a COP that before the COP27, the previous COPs did not touch on this important issue, and actually the conference was supposed to end on the 18th, but it ended on the 20th in order to solve this problem.
Simply, they are trying to get out from their responsibility, and this is why Egypt play a big role.
Was keen, yes,
yes,
to
and
stress
for
on this point.
yes, to save their
Yes.
rights, our rights, and Africa rights, because okay, now we are the most countries that is affected by climate changes.
Yes, but Africa is the least responsible for the problem of the climate change.
And they are suffering from these climate changes.
Yes.
So they have to raise the fund for us in order to make the mitigation and adaptation needed to try climate changes. And as well, we are giving the opportunity that we can supply the energies. So we have to find solutions. They have to bear their cost, what they have done in the earth, and we need to have these funds in order to make our adaptation and mitigation, and we can supply the sustainable energy. And you can find that all the president has spoken about the energies, and how we can deal, how they can deal with Egypt in order to supply them with this energy. So we have something special. We can deliver to other countries, Europe especially, and then we need our rights. Our rights that you have to raise your funds and to help us. The problem is that they don't want to give the same funds that as they promised before. And maybe this is why there was an extension for the COP27. And this is why the president is insisting and trying to get our rights from them. And we succeed to get a part of from funds.
Yes. So with the Red Sea resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh turning to a green city and to host the COP27, and with the calls to turn all the cities in Egypt to green cities, how did you follow these steps by Egypt?
It was a wonderful city now. You can find everything. There is recycling for waste recycling.
Yes.
There is sustainable energy. Everything is coming to be green. And you know now we are speaking about green economy, green
industry.
Green industry, everything is green.
Concerning the green industry, could you explain to us in a simplified way, how could we reach a green industry or clean industry? And we all see the smoke coming out of the factories, How could it turn to a clean energy?
There is some industries that are the most polluted industry.
Yes.
So this is why they are trying to Europe.
Yes.
For the last decades, they are coming to change their these industries to come to rent from any other countries and then to make their industry or factories there. To change to be green, that's making that this industry or these factories are complying with all the regulations, and as well they are a green industry. That means if you are speaking about some industries like medical industry, medical equipments industry, for example, it's not making a lot of pollution. Air pollution is coming from cement industry, from some other industry. So there is levels A, B, and C. And this is why how can we try to work with A and B and C in order to comply with the regulations and then to change to have a green industry. Now there is the green pyramids. If you want to say that there is some pyramids, it's trying to give an accreditation for industry, for example, or for a factory. They are complying with these regulations. That means they have, for example, a sustainable energy supplier.
Yes.
They have a waste treatment facility. They have, they are not using polluted equipment or something like that.
Yes.
They're not making pollution in air. They're not making pollution for water.
Yes. Does this need a big budget?
It depends what sort of industry. So if it is a high pollutant industry, it needs a big budget.
Yeah.
But when you are speaking about A and B, it's not needed at all.
What is the A and B?
It's not. It's the least.
An example. Yes.
It's least
the least
industry that can affect the environment outside. Yes. So if you are speaking that, I'm telling you, if you are speaking about equipments, for example, medical equipments, it cannot make a lot of pollution for air, for example. They are not making an exhaust. So it's not polluted industry. If you are speaking about, for example, food industry, it is not same like cement, for example. So there is a difference when you are making some, sometimes they are making the wastewater. This wastewater can pollute the water, for example. Some industry are making their exhaust directly, but if they are putting filters, that means they would get the waste treatment and to be treated before going to the sewage. This is how to comply. So about each industry has their complying regulations, and they have to go through this complying procedure. But for example, A, it's not needed to have all these regulations because it's a clean industry. C has to be complying with all the regulations.
Yes. I thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for your valuable information and for explaining for us. I thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Shereen Farag, the professor of medical engineering and former member of parliament. Thank you very much for joining us today. I really had the pleasure to host you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure too. Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of The Breakfast Show. I was in the company of my colleague Mahisti Rabia. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.